Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Osaze's Corner, and today I have a very interesting video as it is one that was requested by a couple of my followers on Instagram a while ago, about a month ago or so, but I wanted to give myself enough time to sample these two fragrances and come up with my thoughts. And if you've already seen the title, you know what we're about to get into. So the two fragrances we're talking about today are these two: Aquilaria by Oman Luxury and Promise by Dominque Ropions for the house of Frederic Malle. And if you're watching this video, you have one question in your mind right now, and the answer to that is yes. Yes, it is. So before we get into the video, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on my Instagram, where I post a lot more and I'm more communicative there. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Every time I see a subscriber, it gives me more motivation to keep doing this. So, and the more subscribers I get, the more energy you guys give me to keep going through this whole process. So enough of that and get straight into the video. So a little quick backstory on these two fragrances. They are somewhat related. The same perfumer does both these creations. Dominque Ropions creates Oud Aquilaria for Oman Luxury and Promise from Frederic Malle. I believe Frederic Malle came out about a year or two before Oud Aquilaria. These two fragrances, yes, are very, 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 very similar. Similar to the point that it might be redundant to own both in your collection. But we'll get more into that, into the similarities and the differences over the next couple minutes here. So we want to start off with what do I get from these two scents. So let's start off with the fragrance, the smell. So for this scent formulation, this profile, what I get, I'm gonna put up the notes somewhere on the screen of both of these fragrances, and they have pretty much identical notes. Off the top of my head, I know one of the difference is one of the roses is different. They both have two types of rose. One uses Turkish rose and the other one uses another type of rose. This one doesn't have oud and it has castoreum, and this one uses oud and it doesn't have castoreum. And this one has rosemary, this one has rosemary, this one has pink pepper. I believe this one also has pink pepper. One of them has amber, the other I believe doesn't have amber, but yeah, you'll see it in the note breakdown from Fragrantica. And that is pretty much what it is about these notes. But I will tell you, the main thing about these two fragrances that makes them similar is because they are built on pretty much the same notes. Like the notes and accord that make this fragrance is the same thing that makes this fragrance, which is why when you spray it and you wear it in the air, you are almost unable to tell any differences, especially when you're wearing it in the air. So what are the notes for me, to my nose, are this fragrance is mainly, or these fragrances are mainly a concoction of apple, spices, patchouli. Those three notes, and the rose to a lesser extent, but the rose. So those four notes, scent profiles, are what combine to really make this fragrance what it is. The apple, which is in both, the spices, which is in both. I know there's a different spice. They have some of the same spices and then different spices, but the spices, the apple, the patchouli, I will call this a patchouli forward scent for me. Maybe I'm just very sensitive and to the note of patchouli, but I feel like what makes this fragrance is the patchouli and then the rose. Now you don't get a lot of heavy rose. I feel like the rose really blends well with the patchouli, but the patchouli is still able to be its own self in terms of the scent profile. It's in the hierarchy of the scent is the patchouli, the rose, the spices, or the patchouli, the spices, the rose, and then the apple. Especially in the opening, the apple is really present there. Green, woody type of fruity sweet scent mixing with the patchouli and the rose and the other notes in there give both this fragrance a very sort of boozy feel. Not totally like a booze in terms of like the booze you consume, but it has a very boozy vibe. But you get the drift. It's like boozy adjacent. You feel the booziness, and that apple, that opening, beautiful. That opening with the apple coming off with the spices, and then quickly followed by the patchouli, the roses. Then it's a really amazing scent profile. One that I feel it's really, really nice, especially picking up the dry down on your clothes 10 hours later, 2 days after you spray any of these on your clothes. You're going to pick up the scent. Even if you didn't spray it directly on your clothes, if you sprayed it on and you put on your clothes, you will still be able to pick up these fragrances of the colors or whatever on your clothes 2 days. Now, that is where these two fragrances are the same. Now, where do they differ? Now, they differ in the base. That is essentially where, in my opinion, these two fragrances differ. So what makes this fragrance stand out in the base is the combination of cypriol and castoreum, especially the cypriol. Now, cypriol is a very dominant, aggressive note. You smell cypriol, it doesn't hide itself in a formulation, especially if you put enough of it for it to be present. But when it's present, it makes itself known. Now, in this fragrance, it's not cypriol jumping off the skin. It's more cypriol tamed by everything else, and then the castoreum. So what that does to the fragrance, it gives it a very earthy feel. Really enunciates that earthy dirtiness of a patchouli. Gives it earthy, it makes it more edgier. And what that allows the fragrance to do is, one, it allows it to be very, very appropriate for colder temperatures and gives it a very nice longevity. 100% the cypriol and the castoreum in the base of this fragrance is the single most differentiating element to this one, as it has neither of those two notes. But at the end of the day, I feel like because the cypriol and the castoreum in here are in the base, aren't front and center like the other notes that I mentioned, you don't really pick that off in the air. Where you really pick that up is when you spray them side by side on skin and you inspect very closely. That is when you get the base. You start to see that, okay, this one is on a much denser, harsher, edgier, rougher base. And then this one is everything of this minus that edginess. So instead of the cypriol and the castoreum in Promise, what we have here is oud and amber. Now the oud isn't really front and center. Again, I feel like the oud and the amber were put to replace the patchouli and the castoreum in order to help the longevity, the persistence of the fragrance. I feel like that's what it was actually there for. Add a little bit of woodiness to the fragrance, but also mainly to act as a, what's the word, fixative, Amber is a great fixative in perfume. It holds everything together, it makes it well rounded, and it gives it great performance. And that's what I feel like Dominque Ropions did in here. He just took out those two notes and put in oud and amber in here to, you know, keep the scent the same, but make sure it has good performance and longevity. So when we talk about these two fragrances, why would anyone buy this versus this? First of all, let's talk about price, okay? That's the big ass elephant in the room. A 50 ml bottle of this goes for $290 USD, I believe, currently retail, and 100 ml of this goes for about 133 euros, which comes up to around 180 US dollars. So 100 ml of this is cheaper than 50 ml of this, and based off just that alone, there is no way I will advise anyone to get Promise over Oud Aquilaria. I just can't. Even if you have the money to spend, I just don't see enough differences in the fragrances to warrant that sort of price per milliliter difference. In this case, we're not dealing with a clone house cloning a fragrance and then you have to decide, oh, do I want a nice bottle with nice ingredients versus clone oil or whatever. It's the same exact perfumer that did both fragrances. Because like I said, especially in the air, what a lot of people will get, the notes that really create this scent are the same in both. The notes that really differentiate the scent are in the base, and they don't affect the overall experience of wearing the fragrance, or maybe a little bit wearing the fragrance. If you wear the fragrance, you'll feel a little bit more edgier with this one, and you would feel a little bit more, what's the word? Ethereal. I guess I can use ethereal. It's a little bit more, it's still that great scent profile from this, that, you know, dark, woody, spicy, boozy scent, but doesn't have that edgy, dirty, earthy element to it, which made me really enjoy this one a little bit more, because I feel like just that, taking out that edginess, that dirtiness, that element, made this one a little bit more versatile. You know, I can see myself wearing this throughout the year, you know, summer, spring, fall, winter. I could also wear this one throughout the year, but it'll be way more appropriate for the cooler months, just because of that patchouli, that cypriol and castoreum in the base. You spray this on your body and you wear your clothes. In fact, I think I wore this shirt about almost 2 weeks ago now, and when I put it on to do this video, I could get a whiff of, I actually did spray both of them that day. I laid both of them, so I'm still getting whiffs of both of them off of this shirt. I wore it once about 2 weeks ago and it's still there. So that's how strong these fragrances are. Both of them are strong, you know. There's not a case of one is a cheap knockoff or, you know, cheap version and not the same, you know, quality in terms of the ingredients. Still done by the same master perfumer, Dominque Ropions, and it is an amazing way to get Frederic Malle's Promise, if you like that scent, for a extremely attainable price of under $200 for 100 ml. Both of them will give you insane longevity on clothes. They will be on your clothes for days. It will give you great performance on skin when you're wearing them. Honestly, it's one of those occasions where you are as safe going with the cheap one as you are, you know, with the expensive one. So yeah, that is the video for today, comparing these two fragrances, Oman Luxury and Promise from Frederic Malle, Oud Aquilaria from Oman Luxury. Have any of you smelled either of these fragrances? What do you think of them? You know, share your thoughts down below. Let people know that they are the same. And if by some chance you think they are not the same, I don't know, man. Something must be wrong somewhere, but they are the same. If you have any more questions about these two fragrances, don't forget you can hit me up on my Instagram. I'll leave the name below, or you can leave it down low in the comment section and I will be happy to answer. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for giving me your time. I know this went longer than I thought it would. So I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.